Did anyone notice the amazing artwork at the last panel of this chapter? Now, I mean, it's really obvious that the entire last panel was just messed up and weird, but it felt so un-Oda-like. Now, the way the face expressions were, it felt like Oda. That's what Oda would do with his artwork, but the way it was shaded, the way it was drawn, it was just like all the artistic value in this chapter was put into this one little scene, and I was like, oh my god, just the quality of it was so beautiful. I have to commend Oda. He did a good job on the artwork in this chapter. It was beautiful. The shading around the eyes, the way you get to see Sugar's eyes pop out, it was so weird. Like the distorted Usopp with her tongue, like the distorted Usopp with his tongue like coming out like a snake, and when you're getting to see Sugar freaking out over it, it was just, I was so shocked. That was one of the shocking factors of this chapter when it comes to terms of art quality, because Oda normally doesn't do that type of art style. It's really weird and out of his normal. But I commend him. I do commend him, and it definitely was interesting. Now, that entire ending scene, here's my entire, I guess, opinions of it. Pretty much, Usopp, at the very least, he tried his hardest. Of course, he didn't win. That's saddening. We didn't really get to see the fight of what was going on. But what it pretty much emphasized with this ending portion of the chapter is that when Usopp is forced to take the sour grape, as Sugar calls it, pretty much, Usopp goes and distorts his face. He starts screaming out. Yeah, as we all know, his mouth is on fire, and he's probably dying just from the extreme heat. And so with his shocked face, shocks Sugar. And that's exactly what the actual panel shows. Sugar gets shocked. She's like, oh my god! And then you can see where she's foaming at the mouth right underneath that. So I feel like what is going on is Oda's going to cause Sugar to pass out from the sheer shock of Usopp's distorted face. So that's where I feel like is going on with this panel. So next chapter most likely is going to lead into where all the toys get turned into humans again. So this leads into the major factor of this chapter. This chapter mainly focused on Kyro. So it really focused on his backstory. We knew he was the father of Rebecca. We also knew that he was in the Colosseum and won over 3,000 battles, but getting to see his backstory, the way it was betrayed, was very sad. This was a very sad chapter. I don't know if a lot of people got the emotions I got in this chapter, but there was major sad scenes in it. Like the scene to where you see him get turned into a toy. He cuts off his own leg to try to save the king because he's chained down and the king's about to get executed by Dolphy. And so he cuts his own leg off just to save the king. If he gets turned into a toy by Sugar, hits the ground, he's legless. And I was like, my god, that's how he lost his leg. That is why he's like a toy soldier with no leg. And then so we find out how he lost his leg and that how far he would go to save someone he respects, the king. And then all of a sudden, yeah, everybody forgets about it. Even the king forgot who he was, so he can't be remembered, as all toys usually do. But what makes this entire scene really sad is when he goes to his wife. He tries to save his wife, and when he actually holds her in his arms, he finds out that his wife does not remember him. She doesn't know who he is, and that she's telling him to protect her child, their child. And that was a sad scene because the way he acted out, the way she couldn't remember it, and the way the actual written story of it was, the way Oda drew the entire panels, it really brought in the emotions. Like how he pretty much stated he could not feel his wife's warmth, that he was truly living in hell. And that was sad. That was fucking sad. Oda, good job on that. You did a good emphasis with the sadness in this chapter. I want to see this chapter animated so bad just because of the sad feels. Because One Piece episodes that usually go into the emotions like this usually make you tear up. And that's usually what One Piece does at these sad character backstories. So I'm looking forward to that. Kurosa's backstory I'm looking so much forward to. So this chapter, besides these sad factors, I noticed another key thing that popped up in this chapter. We get to see how Kuros doesn't want to touch Rebecca with his hands, like his dirty hands. He thinks he's dirty because he killed people in the past, and we all want to actually probably know more backstory of that, why he had to kill certain people in the past, and why he calls himself a beast. But pretty much, though, what we get to see, though, is that he puts on gloves just to touch Rebecca, and that's upsetting. It really is. It shows what kind of person Kuros is. I mean, he doesn't want to defile his daughter. He doesn't want to turn her to, like, I guess, the evil side or dark side, if you get what I'm saying. So it's really messed up. At the same time, it's heart-touching, and I feel Oda did a great job of introducing Kurosa's character this way. I mean, there's been a lot of mystery around the toy soldier. We finally found out who he was recently in the past couple chapters, but now actually getting the backstory told, this is really good, and I feel like the actual overall plot of Dressrosa's arc is getting really fleshed out more, and we're actually starting to understand the points of views of who has been turned into a toy. So really, all in all, this chapter was a really sad chapter. Underneath everything, you had to be paying attention. It was a sad chapter. Like, there's one section in this chapter where you get to see Frankie beaten. Damn, I didn't expect Frankie, of all people, to get defeated. I mean, seeing Frankie just laying down there literally just wrecked was like, oh my god. I couldn't believe, you know, a Straw Hat that's been training got defeated. So we're starting to see the level of Dolphy's crew now. We're finally starting to see that the New World is no joke, and I feel like this is good. Oda's showing that not all the good guys are going to win. So this is really good, and I like that so much. So all in all, this chapter was amazing. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the artwork. Oda did something out of his normal. I felt like it was good character backstory, good pacing, and just all around, it was just a sad chapter. Tell me your thoughts on this chapter, everybody. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? What was your favorite moments of this chapter? Did you care for Kuros's backstory? Did you love the entire scene with how you get to see Sugar just freak out and her eyes pop out of her head and the weird shading art style that Oda did? Tell me your thoughts. Y'all wonderful day or night wherever you live, and everybody, I love you so much. Chibi out.